I've been highlighting the recent strategy of Democrats to call Donald Trump's bluff by introducing policies and legislation that seem to track Donald Trump's promises to voters when Donald Trump was, in my opinion, lying to voters and defrauding them to get their vote by making promises he knew he couldn't keep. Bernie Sanders is leading the charge, but I've seen Democrats in the House, like Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries and others doing this as well. Let me give you an example, right? Donald Trump said that he was going to go and help the lower class and middle class, and we know that's not the case. He's not going to let them anywhere near Mar-a-Lago, where the oligarchs and billionaires play and do whatever weird stuff they're doing in Mar-a-Lago. So here's the statement Bernie Sanders just put out. 2 years ago, I tried to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Not a single Republican supported that effort. Millions of Americans still work for starvation wages. We need to substantially raise the minimum wage. It's time for Republicans to join us in accomplishing that goal. You said you want to do that, so let's do it. And we know that MAGA Republicans aren't going to do that because all of their business oligarchs say, oh, it's going to actually cripple our business. If we raise the wages of our workers, then we're going to have to actually lay them off. Do you ever hear that argument when you learn about the CEOs getting 300, 500, 1,000 times more money than the workers? Is it like we're going to have to lay off the CEOs and the executives if they're getting paid that much? No. It's always an attack on the workers, the 99%. But here's the video Bernie Sanders put out. I like this. Let's play it.
Let me ask you about another topic, obviously very important to working class voters, the minimum wage. In my one-on-one interview with President-elect Trump, I asked him if he would consider raising the minimum wage. It's been at $7.25 since 2009. He acknowledged it is too low, Senator. He also said it's quite complicated to raise the federal minimum wage. But do you think you can work with President-elect Trump and try to get a deal on raising the minimum wage?
I surely hope so. It is. I tried, I think 2 years ago, to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. We got zero. Not one Republican supported it. We ended up with 42 votes. Look, a $7.25 per hour minimum wage is an absolute disgrace. We have millions of people in this country who are working for starvation wages. They cannot afford housing. They cannot afford to adequately feed their kids. So yes, we have got to raise the minimum wage. I would suggest to be $17 an hour, but I hope that we can work in a bipartisan way to finally accomplish that goal.
And Bernie Sanders put this out as well, showing the history of where he stood on these issues. Going back decades, he goes, we don't have to balance the budget on the backs of the most vulnerable Americans. The needs of our children, elderly, and healthcare system are more important than putting more and more weapons into our military system. These are basic messages. You see how he's saying it? Simple. Here, play this clip.
Very few people tell me that we need to spend significantly more money on the military while we cut Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, student loan programs, veterans programs. Very few Vermonters think that that should be the case.
We are spending billions of dollars on B-2 bombers right now at $2.5 billion a plane, and the Pentagon doesn't even want them.
We don't need more tax breaks for the rich. We don't need more Star Wars gadgets and more B-2 bombers.
There is a lot of unnecessary spending. There is a lot of waste. But we don't have to balance the budget on the backs of the most vulnerable.
Should we eliminate the massive amounts of waste in government? Yes, we should. I personally voted against the supersonic collider. I don't think we can afford that now. I voted against the space station. I don't think we can afford that now. I am tomorrow going to bring on the floor of the House a 10%, an amendment to reduce the intelligence budget by 10%. I don't think we should level fund the intelligence bureaus. Finally, the Congress and the President have got to say that the needs of our children, the needs of our elderly, the needs of our cities and towns, the needs of our health care are more important than putting more and more weapons into our military system.
And here you have Bernie Sanders talking about oligarchy. It's an important word right now because Trump has hoisted up his Jeff Bezos, his Elon Musk oligarchy. Rich billionaires running the show and screwing over working Americans. This is an important issue to hammer home. And Bernie Sanders says we hear all about Putin's oligarchy, but newsflash, America has an oligarchy too. Again, simple messaging. Here, play this clip.
I do believe as President Trump comes into office, we have got to understand, Kristen, and this is something I feel very strongly about, and it's not talked about enough. We are moving rapidly into an oligarchic form of society. Never before in American history have so few billionaires, so few people had so much wealth and so much power. Never before has there been so much concentration of ownership, sector after sector, power of Wall Street, and never before in American history, and we better talk about this, have the people on top had so much political power. We can't go around the world saying, oh, well, in Russia, Putin has an oligarchy. Well, we got an oligarchy here, too. And in this last election, in both parties, billionaires spent huge amounts of money to elect their candidates. Here in the state of Vermont, we believe we have town meetings, one person, one vote. That's democracy, not billionaires buying elections. Those are the issues we got to focus on. We got to rebuild the middle class. 60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. Many seniors are struggling, high rates of childhood poverty. So I look forward to working with President Trump. When he has ideas that are going to help the working class, we will vigorously oppose him if he wants to attack democracy or women's rights to control their own bodies.
Now let's connect this to what happened on Friday. When Hakeem Jeffries gave his speech on the House floor, what did he talk about? The cost of living has gone up. He talks about how Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and he's being very clear where Democrats stand on these issues with the people. It's smart messaging. Here, watch this.
For far too long in this country, the cost of living has gone up, but the size of the middle class has come down. Housing costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high. Childcare costs are too high. Insurance costs are too high. Utility costs are too high. America is too expensive. There are far too many people in this great country who for decades have been struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. That is not acceptable in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. We need to build an affordable economy for hard-working American taxpayers, and we need to build it now. It's time for us to come together and finally lower the high cost of living in the United States of America once and for all.
And here Hakeem Jeffries is again. Here he's talking about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and programs that are popular. Play the clip.
And we will work with anyone of any party to get that done. We will work with anyone to secure our borders, and we will work with anyone to fix our broken immigration system in a comprehensive and bipartisan manner. At the same period of time, we will push back against far-right extremism whenever necessary. So let me be clear.
Here he is again talking about Social Security. Let's play it.
Our position is that it is not acceptable to cut Social Security, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, cut veterans' benefits, or cut nutritional assistance from children and families in order to pay for massive tax breaks for billionaires and wealthy corporations. House Democrats.
And then finally, here's Hakeem Jeffries talking about the border as well and saying, look, we also need to be strong on the border. We want a bipartisan border bill. We also need to recognize that bloody mass deportation should not be taking place. We all agree that when it comes to criminals and terrorists who are migrants, they should go to prison and be deported and have the full force of the law. It's simply false to say that migrants commit more crimes than Americans. That's not true. By significant margins, Americans commit more crimes in America than migrants do. But migrants commit crimes, throw them in jail. Throw the book at them. Deport, whatever. But we need jobs when it comes to tech. It's not just the H-1B visa tech stuff, but when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to hospitality, when it comes to construction, when it comes to shipbuilding, when it comes to, you name it. So here, Hakeem Jeffries is saying, look, we're with you. Okay.
At the same period of time, we will push back against far-right extremism whenever necessary. So let me be clear. Social Security and Medicare are not entitlement programs. They are earned benefits. Hard-working American taxpayers pay in to Social Security and Medicare every day, every week, every month, every year throughout their entire adult life. They've earned those benefits, worked hard for those benefits, and deserve those benefits. So as Democrats, our promise to the American people is that we will fight hard to make sure that no one in this town takes away Social Security or Medicare from the American people. Not now, not ever. No means never.
So I think it's a sensible approach. You lay the trap basically where you say, okay, here are your promises. We're supporting them. Let's do these things for the people. And look, MAGA Republicans weren't even able or barely able to elect a speaker on Friday. You think they're going to be able to put any type of legislation forward in the House of Representatives? It just ain't going to happen. Democrats realize that. But I've been saying this over and over again. And by the way, repetition is important. But you've been hearing what I've been saying to Democrats. I say KISS, ABC, DBD. KISS, ABC, DBD. KISS, ABC, DBD. What does that mean? Keep it simple, stupid, or if you want to say silly, keep it simple, stupid. Always be campaigning. Democrats be Democrats. Keep it simple, stupid. Always be campaigning. Democrats be Democrats. Don't overanalyze. Don't make this hyper-technical. Keep it simple. Always be campaigning. Always be on a posture of going to factories and meeting with Americans, speaking to people in the diner, shaking the hands. Don't just wait 90 days before an election and DBD, Democrats be Democrats. You're on the winning sides of these issues with healthcare, education, yes, even immigration, lowering prescription drug prices, making taxes or making the tax system fair for Americans, not supporting tax cuts for billionaires, being against price gouging. I mean, you name it. Democrats are with the people, but and workers and unions, but you got to message it. You got to be there constantly. And you don't want to be Republican light. Just be Democrats. Be proud Democrats with your policies. Because if you're Republican light, it's just like you're just doing another version of what they're doing, just a little bit less. So just be proud of what your issues are. If they want to call it Green New Deal or so, let them whine. Go on the offense, share your issues, and let them whine and talk about why these things are helpful. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.